Hello, hello.
James is from the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel. I'm just going to say that like immediately in hopes that you guys will subscribe to his channel and subscribe to mine. We hope that you do if you like these shows. But we're here to do our weekly recap of the Housewives of Beverly Hills. This episode was titled Mind Your Business. This was season 14. My God, episode 11. Apologies, I am tardy. It is not James's fault. It was my fault. Valentine's Day was 17 years with my husband. So he surprised me with some things, and that's why I wasn't able to get these lives done. So I apologize, but we're back on track. See the link in the description of the video, though. That is where James's channel is, as well as the playlist we have put together here. So, mouthful out the way. This was a sad episode. it was really really sad. I honestly did not want to do this live. James is the person honestly who encouraged me to do it. To James and all people who have lost a parent regardless of the reason, sincerest condolences to you. I know that is something you guys will never get past and just unfortunately learn to live with, but your feelings do matter, and I think that there can be some positivity in discussing sad episodes like this. Some people may feel less lonely. So that's what I will say to y'all.
I appreciate
Oh,
that, friend. Thank you for that acknowledgement. That means a lot.
yeah. Of course. That's difficult. It's extremely difficult. I haven't lost a parent yet, but I can't imagine. So I appreciate you for being here extra, extra, extra much today. But we start the episode with Sutton's mama, Reba, and she's rude to everybody, it seems, but Kyle. And I'm not making it a race thing. I'm talking about she's mean to Sutton, she's mean to Avi, she's mean to Garcelle, she's mean to everybody but Kyle and the camera crew, it seems. And Sutton's mom tells Kyle that she's not a nurturer. And I'm not surprised. We know that Sutton's mom is a therapist. So, like I said, I'm telling y'all, therapists have the gift to be able to help others, but sometimes struggle with their own introspection and things like that.
Yep.
But she's aware that she's not nurturing. She's aware of it. Now, Sutton talks with Kyle upstairs after that, and she speaks about her father's death and the depression that he dealt with. For those who don't know, if you recall, when we first met Sutton, she was very vocal and open about her life, which I think is why she became a main cast member. But her father did struggle really bad with depression for much of his life. And it sounds like the depression got so bad that it led to him, unfortunately, taking his own life, um, which is just awful. That's awful for the person who felt the need to do it. It's also awful for the loved people left behind. So I did feel with that. But she speaks about how her dad never went to therapy. And most of this episode will discuss topics like that. But I just want to say, like, separate from me studying to be a therapist, I do feel as though this is the perfect example of why it's important to go to therapy. Or if you don't feel safe in therapy, go somewhere or to someone who you feel safe enough to release whatever's heavy on your heart if you're able to.
Yes.
Because that's really sad to hear that happened and he wasn't able to get therapy. So I'm gonna
Agreed.
get an opinion from James before we move forward.
Um, Once again, like Mrs. Best said, it doesn't surprise me that Reba is not a nurturer. She reminds me of Candace's mom from Real Housewives of Potomac. She
Mm,
reminds me so much of Mama Dot. So I think that, that's, and I believe Mama Dot is a therapist as well. Um, I think that to me, with her not being a nurturer, I feel like a lot of times when people are not nurturers, sometimes they're not a safe space either. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when you want to pour out your feelings, sometimes when you want to pour out your heart and you really want to cry for help, sometimes they'll turn that into something that isn't a validated feeling because of their lack of not being a nurturer.
mm,
So I kind of feel like for me, and I'm not blaming her husband's death on her by any means necessary. I'm not. But what I'm saying is to me, I feel like her disposition as a person really makes me look at her in light of like, wow, could that man have come to you? Really come to his wife and say, "This is my issue. I need you," and you would actually be there.
Mm.
That was my first thought when she
Yeah.
said she was not a nurturer.
I'm thinking that that's going to be an important point to come back to, especially as Sutton discusses it more, because I was thinking the same thing because they were
Mhm.
married.
Yes.
But her mom says so little. Now, downstairs, after Kyle and Sutton are having this deep talk about her father upstairs, and downstairs, her mama is Reba's rude as hell to Avi. And I was thinking, and I always think this seeing Avi, but I'm like, Sutton is that person that may be a difficult boss, but she is not a cheap boss and she will pay you well because I think she understands that she has a lot to deal with. But her mama, you could tell, was really irritating Avi. It looked like Avi was contemplating, do I really need rent this month? Do I really need to make that car
I'm gonna
payment?
be real with y'all. I think Avi make like 150,000 a year. I
He
do.
has to.
He has to. I know he makes over six figures a year. I know he does. So that's one of them. That's what I was thinking as well when he was in that scene. Is when she's like, "Oh no, I don't like that ice," and he threw that ice down.
He was sick of her.
I was
He had
like,
had it.
"This is where I be like, son, this is gonna cost you 50 extra thousand to deal with your mama too." Sorry, I
I
need
was
more.
cracking up because I know they heard, and Avi sees Reba probably more than any of us do because he travels with Sutton. So I
Yes.
just know that he already has a thing for her, and it's not a good thing. But Garcelle comes down and pulls Reba to the side, which worried me, and she tells Reba how Sutton wishes that she would tell her that she's proud. Hi, Shani, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. But she tells Reba how Sutton wishes she would express that she's proud of her. And Reba's immediate business statement was, "That ain't your business. Mind your business." Which I know some people. Reba does give that old school prejudice against certain races energy, but at the same time, I do feel like this was not the space or place for Garcelle to do that. No matter how close I am with my friend, me personally, and I've had friends ask me this, a hard lesson I've learned: never get involved with your friends and their family, even if they ask you to. You are friends with your friend, you are not friends with their family. Be respectful, have a good time with the family, value them and all of that. But at the end of the day, you're loyal to your friend, and your friend is loyal to their family. And then you come after that, and that is okay. And that's the way it should be. So I didn't think that the Garcelle needed to talk to the mama, especially how rude that bitch been to her. I'm sorry. That lady was rude as hell. And now you want to go and talk to her? Absolutely not.
I felt the same way. I was like, now this lady ain't solved for you this entire time. What made you think you could go have a personal person conversation with this lady and tell her about her daughter and say that you need to do better as a mama and support your child? Where do we do that at?
It Garcelle did read the conversation correctly, though. She does say to the confessional she feels like there's a jealousy with Sutton and her mom based off of the difference in relationships that they had with Sutton's father. And Garcelle clocked
No, I
something that was obvious, I think, to many viewers. Like, it's very strange. Sutton's like, I'm a daddy's girl, this and that. And you could tell that the nurturing and love Sutton got from her dad. But at the same time, when we get later in the episode, when she describes her dad, she describes him as someone that wasn't very present and wasn't very nurturing, but just made the effort to spend time around her. So it makes you wonder, like, how was that relationship between Reba and her husband, who ended up offing himself? Like, that has to be horrible to deal with. And then to
mhm.
hear your daughter just admiring this person, and the relationship my mama had with my dad is so much different than the relationship I have with my dad. My dad treat me like actual royalty, but he was a terrible husband to my mom, and he knows it, right? So what we experience as kids with our parents is entirely opposite of how our parents experienced each other
Yeah.
in their romance, is what I'm trying to say. And I think Garcelle was definitely right on with that. But apparently, we learned that Sutton and her mother have never discussed her father's suicide. Um, and it did happen in their family home. So yeah, these people have trauma, and I think that it was important that they showed this so that we could understand Reba a little bit more. But it was interesting. But James, how'd you feel about any of that?
Um, just kind of this sense of Garcelle's conversation with Reba.
Yeah, that's all that really happened. And
Yeah, because I
Garcelle
was
met.
gonna say I don't want to because I don't want to jump too far ahead. That's why I was like, because I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna make another point about Reba. But yeah, like I said, like I felt like this was not the place for Garcelle to do so. I feel like for me, especially when she's your treatment has been with this lady, you shouldn't even have wanted to get involved. And I do agree with Mrs. Best. I feel like I shouldn't. I'm not going to go to any one of my friends' parents and tell them, "Hey, I had a conversation with your child." And they would like more support from you. I feel like that's a slap in the face to any parent. Now, it would be different. Now, I would feel different if Reba would have went to Garcelle and say, "Hey, look, I can't get through to Sutton. Like, I feel like she wants more than I have the capacity to give her. And like, what do you think I should do? Like, what do you think? If that's how the conversation went, then I would feel differently. But the fact that that conversation didn't go like that at all, that's what made me feel like, okay, well, Garcelle, whatever this lady give you, you asked for it because she didn't ask, you know.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's like, even though people shouldn't always have to place boundaries, I think with interacting with others, we should also understand and see those invisible lines that we should not
Agreed.
cross. And
Yes.
Garcelle definitely needs to work on that, because I guarantee if Sutton would have went to someone in Garcelle's family and done the same thing, she would have felt the way. So
Mhm.
that's how I stand with that. But we move on to Erica still talking about the treatment of her by the public and everybody else after she announced her divorce. She is still not divorced. She's excited about life. Her house is done. Okay. I'm going to move on unless James wants to add something.
No, move on.
Thank you. Grasping at straws. This lady has nothing to give without her husband's money. Now she is proud to be able to redecorate a house. No, absolutely not. I'm not doing it, Erica.
A house that she doesn't own, mind you.
Yeah. She remodeled a rent. She pulled a Mia. Her
And I
house
can't
under the
stand
building.
people do that. Like if it's cosmetic, like something like you could take out and they wouldn't know it was there, fine. But you buying a whole new furniture, fixtures, and lights, and no, they
The
don't.
money that she spent on that could have been spent on a house. But because the judge is not, normally once you file for divorce, anything you purchase after that in California, you get to keep. But her situation is not that,
Nope.
because she has been leaked and found to be legally responsible in some way by Married to Tom for not just one, but a couple of these lawsuits. But I'm still going to say allegedly and remind anybody watching the channel to look across the bottom of the screen at the ticker that states that all things discussed are opinions for fun and alleged. Do not come for us. We have not sent for you. But yes, it's very strange. So we'll keep it moving to Bozoma and her daughter, Lael. Um, I like her and her daughter's relationship is very sweet. I also like her daughter's name because it does mean something in African. But I just, she wants her daughter to meet Keeley, who's the boyfriend that we know today she's no longer with. And she talks to her daughter about having another child, which was stupid to me. You talk to your daughter about having another child, but you barely just introduced this man as a boyfriend, a friend, whatever the hell. Her daughter's okay with this, but I felt like her daughter knows that it's not going to last and was just like, yeah, mom, I'm cool with it. I feel like that little girl didn't expect him to last. That's just what I got. James, what'd you get from that?
So we have to retract that statement because she is with him in today's time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
so we
thought
have to
they
retract
weren't.
that statement. Yeah, they did not break up. They are still together to this day. She just recently did an interview with somebody where she discussed him, and I went on her Instagram and saw him in her stories on Valentine's Day. So they
Oh,
are
Lord.
very much still together. I thought her daughter was very mature and very well spoken. I was not surprised by that at all, considering who her mom is. So I felt like that was really great. I felt like it was a great conversation. However, I feel like because at that time they were only together 8 months, I feel like that's way too soon to be talking about children. Marriage, yes. I feel like that's a good time to talk about marriage. Absolutely. But children, I feel like I need to live with you. I need to see habits. I need to see what I'm dealing with. I need to see you angry. I need to see a lot of different things before I tie myself to you for the rest of my life with some children and then potential grandchildren after that. That's all
I
I'm going to say.
think even with marriage, them same things you just mentioned should be considered. I also feel like 8 months at her age is not too soon. But if she was, let's say, 25 and trying to do this after 8 months, I'd be like, but almost slow down.
Well, no, no, no. I'm not saying it's too soon to be talking about children at her age. I'm talking about before you're talking about marrying somebody. I feel like it's too soon to talk about children. And then the fact that you two live in two different places, when is the home you're going to get together with each other going to happen? I feel like there needs to be an ordinance, regardless of the age, that needs to happen. Because what happens if she has a kid, moves in with him, and then he's somebody that leaves tread marks in his drawers? Like, what happens then?
Tread marks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm saying not about that, but I'm saying in terms of like, for let's say if this was someone 25, 8 months is definitely not long enough, in my opinion, to decide if you want to marry someone. But with older people, it seems like they start to feel those like biological timelines much
Well, maybe
harder
because
than the
I'm
rest
gay
of
is
us do.
different. Because
Hmm?
the gay relationships are different. They really are. They're different. So
Well,
eight
yeah,
months.
because you have same sex, so you're not as worried about time. Whereas in
Yeah.
heterosexual relationships, that is a concern because the woman starts
Right.
running out of time. But we're talking about a heterosexual relationship, not a gay relationship.
That's why I can't get my mind off of it. That's why I was like, okay, I totally get what you're saying now. I had
Yeah,
to
because
I had to reel myself.
they're doing things too fast. I also think that there's a certain level of confidence that comes with same-sex relationships is different from heterosexual because they already have to go through and overcome so much oftentimes just to come out or feel safe to be in a space where they're in a relationship publicly. So I feel like they're more sure, whereas sometimes in heterosexual relationships people just be all over the place in love with whoever calls. It's just hey, it happens. But yeah, I don't know, Bose, slow down, just be with the man. Y'all have good money. Get a surrogate. His little swimmers will be marching for a very long time. Why put your body through it? I'm just, what it's like to carry. I don't know. But I don't want this storyline from Bose. Next season I'd like to see more from her. I don't know if you feel the same, but
Oh no, I definitely need to see something different. I'd rather see her business acumen than the personal life from her. I don't know why.
yeah. Not Bose, please don't be on that Carly Red time.
I should agree. Please don't.
47 and trying to have a baby. It's possible. Kim Fields, Halle Berry. There's several people have done it, but yeah, why? I don't get that. But anywho, we're gonna keep it moving to Sutton and the women back in Augusta. They go to see Sutton's childhood home. People do live in there now, but it's the South. People are friendlier. Rich white lady called them. They say, "Yeah, come on in." So she's gonna be able to see her childhood home. And Garcelle is such a good friend because she was concerned at the state of mind it will put Sutton into, which I feel like if you care about someone, you should be like hyper aware of like the things that may trigger them. So good for you, Garcelle, with that. But Sutton was immediately sad, and she walked through the home and was telling the story of the last time that she saw her dad. And I'm not going to go into the details because there's only so much you could say on YouTube about taking your life or someone else's. They probably gonna flag me for using the big S word earlier, but I definitely felt for Sutton. I'm grateful to her for sharing her story. I will say that it does seem that she has survivor's guilt because that's what got me. It had me break during the episode. I did tear up. She was like, he always put his hand out. And I'd walk by and he grabbed my hand. And this time he didn't do that. So I grabbed his toe. And I was like, it was just very, very genuine. And you could tell that it impacted her. And she's like, what if I would have just stayed? And it's unfortunate that she had to take on that guilt because it's not her fault that her father took his own life. It's not her fault that her father has passed on. Unfortunately, a part of life is that people are born, they live, and they die. That's a part of life. And suicide is that much more difficult, I think, for people to deal with when they're grieving, because why did they do this? Was I not enough to make them want to stay here, and all of those important things? So I really felt for Sutton, and I see why she was careful to invite the women that she did invite on this trip. And I'm wondering how these heifers going to react when they show the reunion and how emotional it was, while they being messy and petty, mad that they wasn't there, Bose and Doris. Just saying. So that's my opinion. I'm going to give the floor to James as well to comment on that.
I loved this scene. I think that was such a just a powerful moment, especially because when you look at how beautiful the house was, and when you look at, it seems like the people who live in it now didn't change much about it. It, was given, the house from, Annabelle, the horror movie, but that's okay. Sometimes, these houses look alike, and that's just what it is. But the story that she talked about her father and how, the last day, that truly did break my heart, because as someone who also lost my father, wasn't to that same circumstance, it was a different circumstance. I don't know, because I have not been in my father's home since his passing. I don't know if I can go back inside, because that was the last place I saw my father before he died. And I don't know if I could ever go back inside. My stepmom is still there, still in the home. I just don't know if I can. I think that, when I do go back home, it's going to be tough. So I commend her for having the strength to walk through the house, cherish the moments, look at the moments, think of the last memory she had of her father, and just really be one with it, because it was inspiring to me. Especially, but I don't know if I can do the same. I just really commend her for her strength. And I agree with you for Bose and Doris. This wasn't the trip for y'all. After seeing this scene, I thought back to that scene as well, where they felt the way about not being included. And it was like, this was so personal to her that neither one of y'all, I feel like, have the privilege or have been her friend or have been invested as her friend long enough to really understand what this meant for her. And I'm just going to say it like that.
Yeah, I think that was a beautiful way to say it. To add a little bit more to your point, Bose, you knew. This goes for anybody new. Do not expect to be invited to everything. We have seen this since Housewives was created. Even though they have certain events where they're required to invite the whole cast to places, there are also several other events where those requirements don't stand in place. So I just don't feel like Bo should have had anything to say. And Doris, you've been attacking Sutton and looking for a reason to be mad at her this season. So the fact that you would even expect to be invited or care is odd. So it just shows, like, yeah, she's going through something, but it's still the same old Dorit up under it. Okay, she'll heal and come back out, probably a little messier, and she'll come back out. Let me catch this comment from Shani. Some way, somehow, the other ladies would want to talk about to talk shit about Sutton if she would have invited everyone. They would have. They would have talked and laughed at the area, spoke about how there's nothing nearby, commented on her mama. They would have done so much. So I think that's important to do, no matter how much money you attain, how relevant you become publicly. Protect your people. Like, if I was to get put on and suddenly become a star at some point, I wouldn't just have my closest people on camera with me all the time. I would protect them unless they want to be there. So everybody's different. But we do have to discuss these other heifers back in Beverly Hills. Erica, Bose, and Dorit go out to eat. And this is where Bose is mentioning that she and Keely have not said I love you to each other, but are planning to have a baby. All right, I'm going to just I'm gonna have. All right, I'm gonna do this scene in segments. So I'm gonna get your opinion just on that statement I made there, James, and then I'm gonna go through the rest of the scene because there was a lot of shit said in these scenes that didn't make sense to me. So how do you feel about Keely and Bose not saying I love you to each other, but Bose feeling like there's love, but not wanting to say it because he hasn't said it, but then she's comfortable enough to plan to have a baby with this man who she don't know love her. You're muted, my sweet darling.
I don't think that she thought that through before trying to put that on camera because it didn't translate well. And I'm glad that there's a after show for her to explain what she meant because the way that she's explained it, it made it seem like you was trying to make sure you had the ideal trap situation in that scene versus it being you guys generally want to be with each other and start a family. Because that's how I took it. When you say he says I didn't, he never told me I loved you. He's never said anything about this. And then marriage has not come up. Nothing has come up, but the fact that you want babies and you did all these major surgeries. I feel
And he
like
seemed on that beach. I don't know if you peeped. It seemed like he's like, "Whoa, slow down, lady." On the
it
baby
did. It
talk.
did feel like that. No, no, no. I did peep that. It did feel like that. But at the same time, I'm watching the calculations too and seeing if you just trying to be seen on TV or if you really just here for her. I'm also looking out for that too. So there's sometimes I'm just processing it and just letting it play out to see if I'm right in the end of it. But no, I saw that. I did.
That's
I was.
smart to do because there's so many flags with
Hmm.
that man. Shani commented, so they got love for each other, but they're not in love with each other. Is that what she's saying? It's she can't even say that because
I
it
don't
sounds
think.
like
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
she don't know what he feels. She know what she feels, but she doesn't know that what she
Right.
feels can be confirmed in how he feels. So she just not saying anything, but she's saying too much
She's
for
not
us.
saying enough context for it to be love or lust or in love. She's not giving much. She's giving like kind of the bare minimum. And sometimes when you do that, it doesn't make sense altogether. Like the
That's
things you're trying to get us to make sense of, it does not make sense. Because why would you want to plan a family with somebody and you're not even sure he loves you or not?
that's the truth. It doesn't make
That's where,
sense.
yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
But then she could also, I feel like at the reunion, when asked about this, Bose will probably, I've had my career, I've had my child, so now I'm just going to do what I want the way I want. Like, I feel like she's going to give us rich bitch, oh well energy. I've been responsible my whole time. I don't know why I feel that way. I hope to be wrong, but we have to move on to the other bozos at the table, which is Dorit, who tells the women that she finally spoke with PK. So her and PK, they saga. They have not been talking, but they were talking. Apparently, the reason for the divorce is the life coach suggesting it. PK's with it. It's a mess. Basically, he's lawyered up. He's trying to split assets, figure things out, and Dorit, Dorit is just like, I guess he's gonna eventually come back or get his stuff together. I don't know what Dorit's doing because honestly, she likes to say a lot about what PK did, and she talks a lot about the kids. Tell me if I'm wrong, James. Please cut me off and tell me if I'm wrong. But to me, with this divorce, like I do believe that Dorit is telling us the truth with some of it, but I think that she's painting a picture that's far more dramatic than what actually was. I feel like he got tired of her, but in her mind, she's not telling us everything. Like she's being open, but very closed. Like we know the kids don't know. PK was drunk. He yelled at you horribly and all these crazy things. But we know that he went to AA. She said not the life coach, it was his AA sponsor. Thank you so much for correcting me. But we know all of these things, right? But Dorit ain't said nothing about what she done said, what she done did, if she done got in his face. What was the final straw? Even with Phaedra, we got go away from me with this Apollo. We haven't got nothing from them.
I think because to some degree, he's not the problem. That's why we have to look at it like this. I think to me, and I hate I have to say this, but I'm going to be honest because this is my opinion. I feel like things with her went too far. I feel like, yes, she was beautiful in the beginning. Yes, she was this. I think is when they started to get kids, is when the relationship became more than he bargained for. And he tried to stick it out as long as he could. And then she started to get obnoxious on TV. And I think he just wanted out because it seemed like he wanted out for the past couple of seasons. He just didn't know how to really tell her that because it will automatically make him look like the asshole if he did it either way.
Yeah, I think with Dorit and PK, it's getting to a point where she's speaking about it almost too much. Every single episode we have heard about it. And so the more I hear about it, the more it makes me pay attention and want to poke holes in the story or search for confirmations
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yep.
And when you go and you search for them, certain stuff does not align. But I think that James just spoke the gospel when it comes to those two. That man has been wanted out and did not know or find a way to get out
It
because
just
he
seemed like
gave
he was just
suddenly.
pushed to his limit. Yeah, it just seemed like he was just pushed to his limit and he just couldn't take it anymore. And then he just needed to get out. And I feel like with somebody like Doris, you have to understand she's one of those people that she's going to hold on and grasp for dear life. Like she literally is going to hold on by the thread that is about to split because she wants this image of being a wife because being divorced, I guess, looks terrible to her.
Mm. It does seem to be that way. I also think the stereotype, the age difference, things like that. She's trying to prove a point to the haters. LVP, one of them. Shetty said PK told her a few seasons ago after the home invasion that she was being extra. She don't want to let the kids go to school. She got PTSD. He told her, girl, please.
She gives me the type that she would, enable the children and then probably when they get 18, make them stay at home so that her husband never leaves. They do that in Phoenix a lot.
Hmm. Oh,
They do
do
that,
that.
yeah. Yeah, they do that in Phoenix a lot where, they, enable the kids and try to, pacify their habits and stuff to make them stay at home for as long as they can. So that way because the father's never leaving the house if his kids are in the house. He's just not going to do
Oh, wow. Oh,
it.
Lord. That's terrible. Hell, I
Mhm.
need to come to Phoenix, y'all. I really need to get there. I'm gonna find my way. I got some investigations to do out there. And there's a brunch spot I want to go to, and James is going to come with me. I seen it online. I'll tell you about it off the live. But
All right.
yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us are on the same page with Dorit. I'm just over it at this point. PK told her not to, I need to go to school. They got to make friends. They need to learn how to interact with other kids. They do. They do. But PK also gives the type of dad that will offer advice, but not be there present to help her, you know, act out the advice.
Because
Like
to
he
me, it
doesn't seem
gives
very
like he's
present.
already raised his kids,
He's done.
so yeah, he's done. That's why I said it gives me the relationship went too far.
Mm.
So yeah,
Talk to text while I'm eating. What you eating, Shanny?
right.
But the next thing we see in this crazy dinner is the women basically telling Dorit that she needs to wake up and get an attorney. I'm tired of hearing about this divorce. That's it. That's it. We said what we have to say. We're going to move on because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Dorit, either you get an attorney or you don't. It don't matter if she do or don't to me because they ain't really got much, but she's the one that has something because that house is in her name as well as their current cars and other stuff because his credit is shot to shit. So she does need to get an attorney, but that's about it. The last thing we see on this episode, you guys, is Sutton trying to make crab cakes.
I wish they would have showed the aftermath of these crab cakes.
Where was the crab? Was it fresh crab?
No, she had it. It was in like a little tube, kind of like how like sour cream come in. It was like in one of those.
Oh, Sutton, not the you supposed to use fresh crab, Sutton. But okay, she said waffles, hash browns, bacon, and sausage. Get it done. She eating a
Okay,
meal.
right.
Oh,
But yeah, that kind of I looked at that too. I mean, I've seen people use lump crab meat like out of the can and out of the containers. I have seen that before. Um, I think it just depends on the brand. I think that because
People do it all the time, but Augusta, Georgia, I would assume is not near no water, so she get a pass. She get a pass.
yeah.
But I love that Sutton is rich as hell, but still willing to cook. I was here for that. That was nice to see. But
Mhm.
Garcelle is talking about the concern, that she has for Sutton and her mother having a conversation. And Kyle made a very good point. It's very rare that I say something positive about Kyle, but Kyle explained to Sutton, like, talk to her, but be realistic in your expectations of the outcome of the talk because she's 82. And at that age, someone just cannot be changed. Sometimes you got to pick your battles, and, being able to express yourself is a good thing as well. But Sutton and her mom do go off the talk, and I didn't. So Sutton's mom is super Southern, I think. She's also of a different generation, but she is a baby boomer, a Southerner. There's a lot there to unpack. But when Sutton's telling her about her fashion line, when she has like a green friendly fashion line, I'll call it, it seems. And her mom compared it to ground beef. I said, what the hell? Did she just compare a fashion line to me? And then she follows it up because it says made in America, but it really comes from Cuba. I said, oh. Oh, how do you get to James? It's like, wait, how did we get here?
Child, I don't even know.
It's in space. You could tell she wanted to lady. Her mama drive her crazy, but that was the funniest thing. But she tells her mom that she doesn't feel that her mom is proud of her. And her mom asks her, why would you think that? And Sutton says the reasons why and how she's never heard it. And her mom responds, she says, well, I don't need to say that. And her mom then speaks about the terms like, I love you, I miss you, I'm proud of you. And she says that these terms are overused and that people just say them to say them, which is very true. Uh, but she says that her child has become like her in many ways, in that she is a career woman. And her mom does mention how her generation was, different from Sutton's generation and how they were post World War II era of kids and adults in terms of her generation. And she says that when she was coming up, nobody ever said to her she was pretty. And she stated that this makes her a little bit different. So, because she was never told it, she does not reciprocate it, which is common because a lot of what we do and don't do is based on how we came up and what we experienced. So, that makes sense. So, the conversation between the two actually was not horrible. You could see her mom, and I think anybody that works in sociology, human services, mental health, things like that, where you counsel people, you could see her like struggling between being a counselor and a parent. That's what I saw, at least with her. But I do think that her mom asking questions at the very least, even if she wasn't giving Sutton the answers she wanted, asking questions and engaging goes a hell of a lot farther, because you don't have to change your ways to be like someone. But I did see Reba meet Sutton in the middle, and I saw Sutton do the same thing back. And I was glad to see that. So they end their conversation with Reba saying that she's open to travel to California to see Sutton's upcoming show. And her mom agrees to do better and work on it. And I think Garcelle helped a little bit. Even though she said, mind your business, when an outsider, especially you got this black woman coming up to me talking to me about being nurturing and proud of you and shit. So I do think that that helped a little bit. But James, how'd you feel about their conversation?
I enjoyed the conversation. I did. It made me really. Um, it gave me hope for Reba that she really wasn't as stern and as stubborn as she is coming off of the last couple of episodes. So it's kind of almost a full circle moment. But I think that whatever Sutton needs in validation of her mother, she's just not going to get fully. And I think there's certain aspects of parents that you have to be okay with that. Like you have to be okay with the things that you're not going to get from your parents just because some of them don't have the capacity to give to you. And you need to be okay with that. And you need to find a way to give that to yourself. Even if it's a simple, I love you, you need to learn how to say that in the mirror. I love you. Because my mom, unfortunately, does not have the capacity to give it to me. So I need to give it to myself. And I need to make sure that because I didn't get it, that my children get it. That's the attitude that Sutton needs to have. And I feel like she has it. She just doesn't have it in her full capacity. But I think that she would be better off with understanding that, listen, she has breath in her body, she is here, but you're just not going to get all the things you need. And you need to be okay with that at some point.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was happy that things ended on a positive note. It didn't look like nobody made a nasty face to the crab cakes. It's pretty hard to mess with crab cakes though, but everything
Girl, you
ended
ain't been out here
positive.
yet. I could take you to a place where they messed up a crab cake, and you gonna be like, James, don't you ever do this again?
That's a sin. I would lose my mind if somebody if you took me somewhere and they messed up crab cakes, I would lose my mind. I really
Well,
would.
because I feel like you gonna be like, James, this can't be that bad, and I feel like, okay, I'm gonna take you there. It's gonna be bad. You're gonna be like, now, James,
My
why
family
would
is
you
from
do
New
this?
Orleans. Okay, what we know how to do is cook. They bet not mess up no crab cakes when
Okay,
I
I'm gonna
come
take
down
you.
there.
Watch when we come. We gonna cook. We gonna go live right after we go to that restaurant, and I guarantee you, she gonna still be cussing me out before I press the record button.
Y'all, this is why I enjoy doing this. James always brings a laugh, especially in a heavier episode. So thank you to you for the laugh. We'll be live again, y'all, tomorrow for Love and Hip Hop Miami. We'll be on time. James, what lives do you have? Because I know you got some shows going away. He was talking about potentially covering, I think, Ready to Love or
So
something.
I have not watched Ready to Love yet, and I know I'm 3 episodes behind. So I'm still going to consider doing that since I've lost Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. That might be my replacement show. So y'all give me some time. Let me catch up. I'm not going to pressure you to do all 3 of the episodes with me, Mrs. Best, but I would like you to join in potentially on the 4th one. So if I
Okay,
do
let
decide
me
to,
know. I'll
yeah, if
watch.
I do decide to do them, I might do a catch up and go from there. And we'll see what happens. I know Real Housewives of Atlanta's coming on in March, so we'll have that. I know Love and Marriage Detroit is coming back, so we'll have that. So we'll have shows on my channel for sure.
When does Love and Marriage Detroit come back?
I believe they're coming back in March as well.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. There's a
Mhm.
fiance show on OWN also. I can't think of the name right now.
Family and Fiance. I
I
can't do
think
that
so.
show. I
He
can't do.
said I
I
can't do
can't do that one. I watched that one. I can't do that one because I don't feel like cussing out people's parents. I just don't.
Yeah.
And the last episode, yes, I'm not finna. Yeah, you're not finna get me canceled. I ain't got
Oh
nothing.
yeah. Love After Lockup is on hiatus right now. Right now they're doing like the crime stories. I'm not gonna cover that because it's more true crime. I did drop Love During Lockup for those wondering where it went. It just wasn't worth my time, the foolery. But I will continue to cover Love After Lockup and Life After Lockup whenever the hell they come back. But that's it for today, y'all. I'm going to let James get to his day. He's a busy man moving and shaking. And we hope that you guys have a good rest of your Monday. Shout out to the replay gang, and we'll see y'all tomorrow for Love and Hip Hop Miami. Bye bye.